Welcome back. We're reading a Patreon requested book called The Sealed Nectar, and it's a biography of the noble prophet, peace be with him, and we're learning a lot. So let's pick up where we left off. We are on page 109, in the section that says Muhammad's birth and 40 years prior to prophethood, in the subsection called Back to His Passionate Mother. Okay. After this event, Halima was worried about the boy and returned him to his mother, with whom he stayed until he was 6. In respect of the memory of her late husband, Amina decided to visit his grave in Yathrib, Medina. She set out to cover a journey of 500 kilometers with her orphan boy, her father-in-law Abdul Muttalib, and a woman servant Ayman. She spent a month there and then made her way back to Mecca. On the route, she suffered a severe illness and died in Abwa, on the road between Mecca and Medina. To his compassionate grandfather, Abdul Muttalib brought the boy to Mecca. He had warm passions towards the boy, his orphan grandson, whose recent disaster, his mother's death, added more to the pains of the past. Abdul Muttalib was more passionate with his grandson than with his own children. He never left the boy as prey to loneliness, but always preferred him to his own children. Look what he said, never left the boy to be the prey of loneliness, but always preferred him to his own children. Ibn Hisham reported, a mattress was put into the shade of the Kaaba for Abdul Muttalib. His children used to sit around that mattress in honor to their father, but Muhammad, peace be with him, used to sit on it. His uncles would take him back, but if Abdul Muttalib was present, he would say, leave my grandson. I swear by Allah that this boy will hold a significant position. He used to seat the boy on his mattress, pat his back, and was always pleased with what the boy did. When Muhammad, peace be with him, was 8 years, 2 months, and 10 days old, his grandfather, Abdul Muttalib, passed away in Mecca. Dang, poor kid, man. Everyone's just dying around him. The charge of the Prophet, peace be with him, was now passed on to his uncle, Abu Talib, who was the full brother of the Prophet's father. Abu Talib took the responsibility of his nephew in the best way. He put him with his children and preferred him to them. He singled the boy out with great respect and high esteem. Abu Talib remained for 40 years cherishing his nephew and extending all possible protection and support to him. His relations with the others were determined in the light of the treatment they showed to the Prophet. Ibn Asakir reported on the authority of Jalhama bin Arfuta, who said, I came to Mecca when it was a rainless year. So Quraysh said, O Abu Talib, the valley has become leafless and the children hungry. Let us go and pray for rainfall. Abu Talib went to the Kaaba with a young boy who was as beautiful as the sun, and a black cloud was over his head. Abu Talib and the boy stood by the wall of the Kaaba and prayed for rain. Immediately clouds from all directions gathered and rain fell heavily and caused the flow of springs and growth of plants in the town and the country. The next section says, Bahira the monk. When Allah's messenger, peace be with him, was 12 years old, and they say plus 2 months and 10 days, he went with his uncle Abu Talib on a trade journey to Syria. When they reached Busra, which was part of Syria in the vicinity of Hawran under the Roman domain, there was a monk named Bahira, they say his name was Georges, who came out to meet him. And although he had not met them before, he readily recognized the Prophet, peace be with him, and said, while taking his hand, this is the master of all humans. Allah will send him with a message which will be a mercy to all beings. Abu Talib asked, how do you know that? He replied, when you appeared from the direction of Aqaba, all stones and trees prostrated themselves, which they never do except for a prophet. I can also recognize him by the seal of the prophethood which is below his shoulder. like an apple. We have found this in our books. He also asked Abu Talib to send the boy back to Mecca and not to take him to Syria, for fear of the Romans and Jews. Abu Talib obeyed and sent him back to Mecca with some of his manservants. When they say prostrate, do they mean like they bent a little bit? Because how would a stone prostrate? Okay, the sacrilegious wars. When he, what peace be with him, was 20 years of age, the sacrilegious wars, which continued with varying fortunes and considerable loss of human life for a number of years, broke out between tribes. Quraysh and Banu Kinana were on the one side and Qais Aylan tribe on the other. Quraysh versus the other tribe. It was thus called because the inviolable was made voyable, the prohibited months being included. Harb bin Umayyah, on account of his outstanding position and honorable descent, used to be the leader of Quraysh and their allies. In one of those battles the Prophet, peace be with him, assisted his uncles. His efforts were confined to picking up the arrows of the enemy as they fell, and handing them over to his uncles. Taking the ammo and using it, okay. The next section says Al-Fudul Confederacy. At the conclusion of these wars, during the sacred month of Dhuhul Qada, when peace was restored, people felt a need for forming a confederacy at Mecca for suppressing violence and injustice, and protecting the rights of the weak and poor. Representatives of Banu Hashim, Banu al-Muttalib, Asad bin Abdul Uzza, Zahra bin Kilab, and Taym bin Murrah were called to meet in the house of an honorable elderly man called Abdullah bin Ja'aran at-Taymi to enter into a confederacy that would provide for the above-mentioned items. Allah's Messenger, peace be with him, shortly after, had been honored with the ministry of prophethood, witnessed this league, and commented on it with very positive words. I witnessed a confederacy in the house of Abdullah bin Jad'an. It was more appealing to me than the herds of cattle. Even now, in the period of Islam, I would respond positively to attending such a meeting if I were invited. In fact, the spirit of this confederacy and the course of considerations therein marked a complete departure from the pre-Islamic tribal period. Pre-Islamic tribal period, the confederacy. The story that led to its convention says that a man from the Zubayd clan, came as a merchant to Mecca, where he sold some commodities to Al-As bin Wa'il as-Sahmi. The latter avoided paying for the goods. The salesman sought help from some of his allies from the Quraysh, but they paid no heed to his earnest plea. He then went to a mountain top and began at the top of his voice to recite verses of complaint, giving account of the injustices he sustained. So somebody stiffed him, they didn't want to pay, so he goes to the mountain top and recites verses of complaints. I wonder what that would look like. As Zubair bin Abdul Muttalib made inquiries into the matter, consequently, the parties to the aforesaid confederacy convened their meeting and managed to force money for the man from Zubayd out of Al-As bin Wa'il. Well, that's good. So it means he's got his cheddar back. Okay, the next one says Muhammad's early occupation. Muhammad, peace be with him, had no particular job at his early youth, but it was reported that he worked as a shepherd for Bani Sa'id. Worked as a shepherd. And in Mecca for a wage. At the age of 25, he went to Syria as a merchant for Khadija. Ibn Ishaq reported that Khadija daughter of Kuwailid, was a businesswoman of great honor and fortune. She used to employ men to do her business for a certain percentage of the profits. The Quraysh were merchants, so when Khadijah was informed of Muhammad, peace be with him, his truthful words, great honesty, and kind manners, she sent for him. She offered him money to go to Syria and do her business, and she would give him a higher rate than the others. She would also send her servants Maisara with him. He agreed and went with her servant to Syria for trade. He gets married to her? It says his marriage to Khadijah. When he returned to Mecca, Khadijah noticed, peace be with her, I think I have to say peace be with her, right? Noticed in her money more profits and blessings than she was accustomed to. Her servant also told her of Muhammad's good manners, honesty, deep thought, sincerity, and faith. She realized that she aimed at her target. Many prominent men had asked for her hand in marriage, but she always refused their advances. She disclosed her wish to her friend Nafisa, daughter of Muniyah, who immediately went to Muhammad, peace be with him, to inform him. Ooh! He agreed and requested his uncles to go to Khadijah's uncle to discuss the matter. Subsequently, they were married. The marriage agreement was witnessed by Bani Hashim and the heads of Mudar. This took place after the Prophet's return from Syria. He gave her 20 camels as a dowry. That's good. You can get a lot of meat. She was then 40 years old and was considered the best of women in lineage. Wow! She was 40. It's hard to imagine 40-year-old women getting married. It's not very common. Fortune and wisdom. She was the first woman Allah's Messenger, peace be upon him, married. He did not get married to any other until she passed away. With the exception of Ibrahim, Khadijah, peace be with her, bore all of his children. Al-Qasim, okay, he has kids. Al-Qasim, Zainab, Ruqiyah, Kulthum, Fatima, and Abdullah, who was called Tayyib and Tahir. All his sons died in their childhood. What? And all the daughters except Fatima died during his lifetime. Oh my gosh. Dang, it's everyone he cares about just dies. The pain, oh. Wow. Fatima, peace be upon her, died 6 months after his death. Oh. Oh. Wow. All his daughters witnessed Islam, embraced it, and immigrated to Medina. Talk about a struggle. All your kids died. Oh man, that's so painful to even think about. Wow. That's a burden. Oh. Ooh. That would cripple me. Oh my gosh.